if it's within a certain percentage collected, and let's just say you're under, that money rolls back into the general fund. I need to do more research on it too. Derek, you may nothing. Just disregard it. Derek, you may have a formula to help.
I mean, generally, what we do is especially when we take past data and look at that trend and forward that trend upward. I mean, generally it's upward on the sales tax revenues. And so when you get to that point, and then you take maybe some factor of safety or some sort of, income growth, not income growth, population-based growth, sales growth, whether it's 1% per year, 2% per year, whatever that's tracking, and estimate that forward to give you those revenues per year for that 6-year period. Yep. And then, as Councilor was saying, is over, at least my historical reference has been, it's either when you hit the amount that you say you're going to hit, or the time expires. So if you're lower and you don't overestimate to some degree, it can't be super crazy, but if you underestimate and you hit that number, then that triggers when it will end, because you have to stop collections within the quarter that you hit it. So you might actually hit that quarter. Yeah. You may hit it like the first day in that quarter, which you can collect to the end of the quarter, or you may be the last week of the quarter, and all of a sudden now you got to send out notices to stop collecting it, because then we don't have time to, if we have to watch it, we don't have time to prorate the next one and keep it continuous. That's correct. So it's safer, in my opinion, to estimate to target the 60 or the time period portion of it.
I agree with all that. I just wish it had been accepted when I said.
Is there a requirement in the way SPLOST guidelines are written that there does have to be a dollar amount attached to it, or can it be just done percentage wise and left open-ended? Dollar amount. Okay.
So my question that I would like to ask about that is, if you put in a dollar amount for the cities, and whatever you project, if you under collect, do you have to satisfy those city dollar amounts before you satisfy
those are all estimates. The dollar figures are estimates.
You live up to the percentage.
Yes, you go back to the percentage on the allocations.
So the number we want to go with is a little bit of an overestimate of what the total collection would be anticipated.
That's the advice from myself and Commissioner Nostra.
So the first 6 months we collected, we averaged $183,000. The last 6 months we've collected, I think we've averaged $275,000. So we're looking at $90,000 monthly difference for each year. So I guess you could put all that data into a chart and graph it, and then that's
really no different than the way we do our budgets.
An increased percentage over time.
We look back over 5 years on the budgets, we can do that the same thing.
It's better to be over instead of under.
Because there's no harm in being over as long as we don't spend the money before we have it.
Right. Well,
no harm in estimating.
There's only 2 ways you can spend it before you have it. One is if you have a bond issue. The other is if you borrow from operational funds, anticipating you're going to pay that.
So as long as we're operating within our means.
Yeah.
There's no disadvantage to overestimating, to estimating on the high side.
Right. So you're not getting a vote on this tonight anyway?
No, I needed to know what to tell the cities so they could start having their discussions to talk about dollar figures. So that leaves me with 2 more questions. When and how do I need to get a number back in front of the board that they're good with total projected? And then we've got June 9th and June 12th. We're going to have SPLOST meetings with staff, so I needed time for those.
What's our first meeting?
June 2nd.
June 2nd, that's when we need to do it.
Well, their cities will start having their meetings to discuss it.
I'm talking about when you get your final number back before this board.
Yeah.
You can email it out to them just because it's a final number not to be voted on, but we won't be able to vote on it until June 2nd. Okay. Unless you have a special call.
What election date are you looking to?
This is their November ballot.
November. So that call has to be issued at least 90 days prior to the election, which puts you in August, so early August, so should leave it at that.
So the cities, they'll do like we do, they'll discuss and then vote the month of June. They have all agreed to have their signed portion of the IGA back to me the last week of June for us to have. And I was gonna turn around and put it on our July agenda to vote on, or work session agenda to vote on. Hoping that internally we could have our distributions agreed upon departmentally. So by the time we got all their signatures, we'd just be good to go. And that'd leave one meeting for an emergency, trying to fix something before I send it to board elections.
So, I mean, obviously the consensus is the 1.25 through the table. Frank, do you have any opinion on, I mean, it looks like items 3 and 4, is there an opinion one way or the other?
I'd rather go with the hard data from 2020.
Yeah, we won't get another one until 2030. All right. So that's not a vote yet, but it is something to consider.
And then are y'all good with June 9th and 12th? Say we get here at 10, work till 12 and take a lunch if we're not done and come back to meet with all departments
Oh,
for their SPOS requests.
I think I'm
Okay. Bring up your calendar. It's a Monday and a Thursday.
The Thursday before Father's Day.
I think so.
Father's Day is the third Sunday.
Oh.
I will make as many hours as I can.
Same for me. I think I would. Just want to comment on Ms. Payne's thinking. From a business standpoint, I do just exactly what I'm thinking. I underestimate my income, and overestimate my expenses to make them good. But obviously, that's not what we're talking about.
yeah, and the more Mike and Derek was talking, I remembered going back through this years ago, and I knew if you do set it too low and you hit that mark, I mean, if you set it so low that you actually hit it in the 5th year instead of the 6th year, you're just out. And but I don't know why it didn't dawn on me when we were coming up with these numbers, but after hearing both of them, I do remember now we had to exaggerate the number, or at least anticipate a larger number to keep from hitting that threshold.
No, she had a lot of questions, and she really struggled with it. You know, it's like I was telling Dennis earlier, we still have 3 more years of the current president, and then you have another term, presidential term in this SPOS, and the economy, it's hard to project stuff like that.
And I know this is apples and oranges, but historically, if you look at this, the tenure of this BOC, historically, our millage rate, while a meal is still a meal, the dollars collected in a meal has increased every year. So it would almost be a safe assumption that the sales dollars would, while not tracking that, would also increase through the county too. I mean,
well, there's always a few drivers that can never be anticipated. For instance, something happens and Ingalls decides we're not going to be here no more. That's going to be a huge multi-million-dollar pullout that would go and no way to back it up. But again, that's all negative thinking. I don't like to think like that. Yeah, I don't like to think negatively like that. So, all right, thank you, gentlemen, for all that conversation. Road updates, gentlemen. I know I got Madison Hills. Dennis, you got Madison Hills Drive.
yeah, a couple of things. Rogers Mill Road, and it appears that some additional signage has been placed over there regarding detours and all, but I would suggest that both ends of the road, that there be another sign placed there that states very clearly no through trucks. You know, because the other day we got in there and there was a semi attempting to turn around there at Wesley Chandler's little road. I mean, he asked me where did that road come out at? And I suggested he didn't need to even drive through it to see it. There was nothing down there. You know, the other thing, we have had another accident at the Sanford Crabapple Hollow Road. This time with injuries, a young lady was ejected from a vehicle. Again, it was distracted driving, but hopefully when we enter into this arrangement with the DOT and whatever's happening with widening that road, specifically some additional signage or lights or something will be added there. Okay. And the last thing I have is there was an accident, I believe, maybe Thursday or Friday, over there in front of Hull Sanford. And while this is Frank's, our friends with the DOT could help us a great deal if we were to send them a letter or something identifying that as slow down, it's a school zone.
There's a school zone sign, but there's no, like, this should be what you, like, the speed limit is still 55. The speed limit never changes, it just says this is the school zone.
Well, that's just it. It's almost like when the light changes, if someone sees it coming from either direction, they speed up to beat the light, regardless of the fact that it's a school zone. And, you know, I'm not sure who we would need to talk to about that, but it would probably be a good idea. Here again, there are occasions when the pickup line actually is out into the turning lane going into the school. You know, not ours, but we could use some help.
People also have an issue turning left into the school, or people who are turning right into the school coming from Eagles direction, not yielding to the people turning left because they're so used to it. There's a big sign there that says yield to oncoming traffic, but people are so used to having the right of way when they turn right that they don't think about it.
We just need to request traffic off to review that.
Yeah, I got it down.
Just want to comment in addition on Rogersville Road, and just something to learn. GPS systems have different mechanisms for picking up roads, and when people came by and started looking for detours, they still called Old Rogersville Road as a potential way to get around that, and it's been dead end for years. Anyway, it's just something we might want to, whenever we have this situation like this come up, we might want to help use those tools to make sure we identify all the potential. I had a call on that, and I shared it with Derek, and they immediately went out there and put a dead end sign there, and that stopped the problem. But apparently it was pretty common with GPS systems, because a lot of people were seeing that as a detour on their GPS, and go down there, turn around, and come back out.
I had plenty of calls on it, trust me.
Anyway, thanks to Derek and the company for responding quickly to that.
Frank, you got anything?
I haven't had any problem.
There.
Just majority riders, I understand the youthful desire, but they do make a mess and tear up stuff, so. Couple dirt roads out my way down there to the river, just have some.
So I guess, you know, for the newspaper purposes, and I don't know which parts you'll pick out of this for tonight's meeting, but dirt roads are not ATV trails. Dirt roads are county property. If you get caught on a four-wheeler, on a county road, dirt or paved, you're gonna get a ticket. If you're destroying that road, tearing it up in any way, vehicle, four-wheeler, motorcycle, you're gonna get a ticket. You're probably gonna go to jail. Just saying. And unfortunately, you know, as I make these road lists, Dennis, you're not wrong. Frank, you're not wrong. Nobody at this table is wrong. The Crabapple Hollow situation, just like Rogers Mill, with a guy trying to turn around, that's a fluorescent orange sign. We can't make you a better driver. We can't put enough signs out there to make you a better driver. People have got to be responsible. at Crabapple Hollow, we put those red flashing lights up. If you pull out in front of a car there, there's nothing on this planet is gonna stop that car from pulling out. We just can't.
I agree.
Yeah, I'm just, I guess what I'm trying to say is for the newspaper purposes, I want people to pay attention in the car. Don't get yourself killed. Or don't kill somebody.
Drive it, drive.
Drive. Jesus Christ.
Well, that was one of the first questions the young lady had with the EMS, was where her phone was at.
Sure it is. Sure it is.
After being ejected from the vehicle. She was conscious enough to ask where her phone was at.
Well, I can say that Crabapple Hollow is, which the chairman will get to that, it has been submitted in the SAP grant that we applied for last week. That's signage, RPM, all that good stuff. Or is it RP or RB?
It's RPM.
RPM, raised pavement markers. Those are the
little bumps.
The little fluorescent.
Okay.
Red one direction, yellow, or white the other. But anyway, just do the best you can. We're trying to make people aware. I mean, we're having so many accidents, and every bit of it's distracted driving. I think if you're in an accident, distracted driving, they'll pull your license for a year. I mean, it makes me sad. It's sad to see people that just keeps doing the same thing repetitively. Thank God the governor decided to ban phones from schools up through the 8th grade. I just don't know why he stopped at the 8th grade.
Been trying for a couple of years, then we'll.
Well, I think that'll definitely help our Board of Education out a lot, and our school teachers and our parents and our school teachers. So, with that being said, gentlemen, statements, remarks from citizens, statements, remarks from commissioners, urgent matters, executive session, discuss real estate acquisition, personal matters, potential litigation.
No, sir.
Commissioner Dawson.
Move to adjourn.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank y'all.
Thank y'all.
Thank you.
He has a bunch of team. All those He has a little senior animal.
Yeah. And we talked about.
Brian just looks like he's.
Sorry, I was surprised that David and I had even discussed that, but.
Good thing we got to get a chair.
You better?
Did I understand that?
We're still
struggling with the premise.
Nail needs to be up here
That's
back.
what I understood the other
It's just shot out.
We needed a separate agreement.
That, well, that was great.
It's just shot
I
out.
didn't have to go through all this.
What I don't know is.
You want to flag it up?
You can have a municipal cell service with some purposes, use county for purposes. I've never heard of that. I don't know if that works constitutionally.
Well,
Hope you enjoy
Clean it up, turn that
if
thing in.
we can get our,